we're going to talk about stem and leaf plots. A stem and leaf, just like a plant has a stem and then it has leaves coming from it, well, a stem and leaf plot has a stem to represent kind of using place value, your first digit or digits, and then your leaves come from that stem. So these stems are what is the beginning of my number, and then my leaves create the rest of the number. So this stem belongs to both of these leaves here. So looking at this stem of 1, I have 1 and then the leaf is 5. So that means that's the value of 15. Then I've got 1 and 6, so that's 16. Then I've got my stem of 2. That 2 is representing like 20. So I have 2 and then a 1, so that's 21. Then I have a 2 and a 3, so that's 23. And again, another 23. Then I have 26 and another 26. So now I'm going to look at my stem of 3. With my stem of 3, my leaves are 0 and 2. So what do you think the 3 and the 0 is going to represent? 30. What's the 3 and the 2 going to represent? 32. So I have 30 and I have 32. Now I have my stem of 4 and my leaf of 1. So here's my data right here. 15, 16, 21, 23, 23, 26, 26, 30, 32, 41. Can I find the range, median, mode, mean? Yes, I can still do that because I've got my data listed right there. I can see that I have a mode of what? I have 2 modes. My modes are going to be 23 and 26. And then what about my range? Well, range is 41 minus 15. So my range will be 26. To find my median, I'm going to do what I've done before. Kind of cross one out, 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 cross one out. I've got 2 middle numbers, so I'm going to have to do 23 plus 26. And that's going to get me 49. And then what should I do from there? I'm going to go ahead and divide that by 2. And when I do, I'm going to get 24 and 5/10. So what is my median? Now, can I find my mean using this? Yes, I can. I'm going to go ahead and add up all of my values. And then I'm going to divide by the number of values I have. How many values? Well, essentially, you can just count how many leaves there are. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I would be dividing it by 10. When I add up all the data, it's going to be 253. So when I divide it by 10, because there's 10 data points, then I'm going to get 25 and 3/10. So the mean is 25 and 3/10. So this is representing the students in school each day in January. So I'm going to look at my stem. My stem is 22, 23, 24, 25. That doesn't literally mean that. It means 220, 230, 240, and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and break this data up, and I'm going to start by looking at all those that are in the 220s. Now, I'm looking at that, and I only see that one right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 0 right here. And now I'm going to look, do I see anything in 230s? No. 240s? No. 250s? Well, let's look. I have 253, 255, 252. Now, the reason why I'm doing it like this is because I still need to put it in order from least to greatest. So I can't just start writing them as I see them. So when I do that, I notice that the smallest is going to be 252, then 253, 254, 255, and 256. Okay, so now I'm done with all the 250s. I'm going to look in the 260s. So for 260s, it looks like I've got 260, 266, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there, just like that. Now for my 270s, I have 279, 278. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of highlight all these in the 270s. Make sure I get them all. Now I'm going to go back and put them in order. So the smallest I have is 275, and then 277, 278, and I'm kind of checking them off because otherwise I'm going to end up missing one, and 279. So now I'm going to look, okay, in the 280s. Okay, 280s, I have this one, 281. Most of them are in the 280s, aren't they? So I'm going to go ahead and look at that. I have 280, and this one I'm really going to have to kind of check off. 280, then 281, 282, 285, 288, 87, I'm sorry, and then 288. And then all I have left is 293. So here's my data. This is how many students were in school each day in January. Can I find the range, the median, the mode, the mean, all of that? I sure can. So the mode, do you see any number that occurs more than once? I do. It's not as easy to see as in a dot plot, but I can still find it. It's going to be 279. So my mode is 279. Okay, what about my range? My range is going to be my biggest minus my smallest. So it's going to be 293 minus 220. So what is that going to be? That's going to be 73. Now, to find my median, the best way to do it without getting confused is to go ahead and list out that data in order from greatest to least. Okay, it might take a minute, but that's going to be the easiest way to not start getting yourself confused. Once I've done that, I can kind of cross one out. Okay, I could even kind of cross out like 2 this way and 2 that way, just to make it a little bit faster. And then I'm going to get so that it's right here in between these two numbers. So let me just kind of show you a little bit clearer. It's right here in between 277 and 278. So to figure that out, I'm going to add them and divide by 2, or I can just really think, hey, what's right in between them? 277 and a half. So my median is 277.5. Now, can I find the mean? Yes, you're going to have to do some work though. So I'm going to start by adding it all up. Y'all, I'm going to use the calculator. I'm not going to try to do that by hand. And you're welcome for that, because I'm going to let you know that that goes ahead and adds up to 5,400. Now that's not my mean, that's just the first part. Now what should I do? I need to divide by the number of data sets or data values that I have. Which, to figure that out, one of the things I could do is just count how many leaves I have, and I'm going to actually get 20. So I'm going to do 5,400 divided by 20, and I'm going to get 270. So my mean is 270. So again, I can find all of this data from my stem and leaf plots. Okay, so right here I have the quiz grades below represents the students in Mr. Avery's history class. So this is a time that I actually would use a stem and leaf plot, and I actually have done that before with grades. So I noticed that I go from all the way from the 60s to the 90s. So our stem is going to be 60, 70, 80, 90, and we do want to make a key. So if I said 6 with a line and then a 0, that's going to represent 60. That doesn't mean I have to have that actual data point. It's just to let you know so you know what the 6 is worth. So I'm going to have the stem of a 6, 7, 8, and 9. Even if I had nothing in the 70s, I still have to put a 7 there. Okay, now there is something in the 70s, but... So I'm going to start by looking at all my 60s, and I have a 68. So now my 70s, I have a 70 and a 79. And in my 80s, I have an 85, an 87, an 88, an 88, and an 89. And notice these are still in order of least to greatest, okay? And then 92 and 93. So here are the grades from the class in a stem and leaf plot. Now I'm going to find the range, the median, mode, and mean on this. So I'm going to start with my mode. Do you see a mode? I do. My mode is what? 88. Then my range, that's really easy to find as well, because I'm going to go ahead and just subtract 93 minus 68. And so what is it? It's 25. Okay, my median, okay, I can either like write it all out and then put it, figure out which one it is. How many data points are there? There's 10. So I know I can at least get 4 out on each side, right? So I could say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So my middle is 87 and 88. So if it's 87 and 88, I can go ahead and add 87 plus 88. And I'm going to get 175. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by 2. And the reason why is because I'm finding the mean of that to figure out what's in between. And that's going to be 87.5. So my median is 87.5. Now what should I do to find the mean? I'm going to add it all up and divide by what? I'm going to divide by 10. Why 10? Because there's 10 leaves, meaning there's 10 data points. So that's what I'm going to divide by 10. When I add it all up, I'm going to get 839. So it's going to add up to 839. And now I'm going to divide by 10 to get the mean. And that's just going to be 83 and 9/10. So stem and leaf plots really aren't that bad. Can kind of look overwhelming, but it's actually pretty easy to use, and it can be useful in some instances.